So the worst part about Civil War is computers came out in 1981. So computers came out in 1981, and I was born in 1981. So everybody my age, they died following everybody older than them. So when you say you see people older than me, and then they say that they Gen X and all this Generation X, and you Generation Z, like, man. So man, you know how some of the realest people that ever walk the earth died because of them. They died with them. Like, and then a whole generation that's born with computers, they died. 1981, 1982, 1983. Like you see they saying that the 1980 to 1989 is the most important. But the truth is 1981 to 1983, and really it's really 1981 and 1982. Those was the best children to have. So they used us to make the computers, and then the people older than us, they became celebrities, and then they took over the computers that we made. And they wasn't even allowed to go to school with white people, but now they work with white people in Hollywood. And they make decisions on what black children get to go to Hollywood and which ones don't. And they didn't make nothing. They didn't fix nothing. They didn't they didn't build nothing. So if you Generation Z and you believe that the people older than you is better than you just because they got money, and they keep telling you to respect them and to respect the way they live, and it was a whole bunch of stupidity. It was a whole bunch of stupidity, and all the realest people to ever walk, they died. They died trying to get them to do the right thing. So a whole bunch of stuff come out, and then the real people die, and then everybody else, they just sit there and control children. They don't control Europeans, so they control children until they die. So y'all gonna die following old people. That's the truth. It don't matter what they say, it don't matter what they do. They had parents. They was related to World War II veterans. So the World War II veterans was born in 1902 or 1920. The World War II veterans was born in 1920, and our grandparents was born in 1935 and 1940, and then you got our parents was born in 1960 or 1970, and they had World War II parents, so they always healthy. I mean, you not healthy because in 1950 everybody was in 1960 everybody was rioting, and in 1970 everybody was pimps and prostitutes, and then in 1990 everybody started selling drugs, and I was born in 1981. None of them study inbreed enriches genetic mutations DNA, but the pimps, some people had good DNA, and then the good DNA spread it. But the drug dealers, once you touch drugs, it's gonna affect your brain, and you gotta breathe it in, and it's a mental illness. It's a genetic mutation to your DNA. So if you younger than me, everybody, everybody that's your parents and whatever they age, they sold drugs. Now you got a genetic mutation, mental illness, and you don't know how to use a house phone. You don't know how to use a rotary dial phone or a VCR. They never taught you nothing. And this shit is fucked up because I was born in 1981, and if I was born in 1981, I mean, 1981, we got to think for all our family that wasn't allowed to read, our family that wasn't allowed to go to school. They went to school, but they education was garbage. They got good DNA and a garbage education. So, like, the more they talk, they just talking and ain't nothing getting done. And their DNA was good, and they messed up their DNA, messing with the wrong people. So everybody just like, you want to have sex, but you don't want to study the DNA that you having sex with. Now your DNA, y'all children, y'all DNA is a mental illness now. They didn't study. It was children born 1981 job to study and tell everybody older than them what they should and shouldn't be doing, and they can't accept it. And now all the real people dead, and you got all these other people trying to control children, and they dysfunctional. And then you got a whole bunch of people that belong in Africa. You got a whole bunch of people that belong in Africa, and you can tell they African, and they just won't go back to Africa and fix Africa. So and then you want Native Americans to get rich, and you want us to think that we African, and you could go back to Africa. So you want all the women in America, but you don't want to go back to Africa where you come from. You got to find out why it's copper colored people in Africa, and why is it dark skinned people in Africa. And then once you find out why is it dark skinned people and copper colored people in Africa, if you dark skinned, you belong with the dark skinned people in Africa. That means you supposed to be helping them. The copper colored people in Africa, they got to find out that they Native Americans and they messed up their DNA in African sun. The Asian people, they got to find out that they was Native Americans and they inbred 5 billion population. Vikings, they got to find out that they Native American, and they so inbred that you don't know what they really mix with. Irish people, they got to find out they inbred, and you don't know what they mix with. All the indigenous people, they inbred white. And do you know that if you inbreed white, what happens is you inbreed until you die at birth. That's what happens. You gonna inbreed, and you got all these genetic mutations and sicknesses to your DNA, and you inbreed until you die at birth. Your taste buds go away, and your nose stop working, and then your children just stop being born. That's what's gonna happen. That's a part of genetic mutation. That's why a whole bunch of animals is extinct. And then you got a whole bunch of other animals that went to you got, what's that? Lions. They are inbred, they inbred yellow. They inbred gold because y'all destroyed where they come from. So if you destroy where people and animals come from, they gotta inbreed. And then their DNA ain't the same no more. Once you kill the indigenous people, it's really over, because you steal your energy from us, and we belong in the sun.